Welcome to the session on the mystique of the Michelin star and by association, the celebration of Indian food shining out in the world. We're thrilled to have two Michelin stars out of India with us, and we're going to pick their brains about how they've worked to give Indian food such a fillip. Let me jump straight into the introductions. In 2002, Tamarind Restaurant in London won its Michelin star under the helm of chef Alfred Prasad, whom we're happy to have with us today. He was then, at 29, the youngest Indian chef to have earned a Michelin star, and he kept it for 13 long years. Today, he consults with brands across continents, in addition to overseeing restaurants like Omya in Delhi and Dulali in Dublin. Drawing inspiration from his Anglo-Indian and Tamil backgrounds, Chef Prasad loves adapting Indian classics to an international palate. Welcome, Chef Prasad.
Thank you for having me, Primrose.
We're also happy to have with us Chef Manjunath Mural, the first Indian chef to be awarded a Michelin star for an Indian restaurant in Southeast Asia. Chef Mural led Song of India and Singapore to a Michelin star hat trick. The restaurant won 3 years in a row. Chef Mural is now chef partner of Adda, his latest venture, and he dreams of Indian cuisine being seen on par with French fine dining. Welcome, Chef Mural.
Thank you, Primosa. Thank you.
Okay, so Michelin stars, which is the holy grail of the culinary world. They don't come easy and they have a mystique that is unparalleled. Both of you are an inspiration to so many in the culinary field, both in India and across the world. I'm sure we all want to know how you came by your Michelin stars. We want to know about your journey in food. Tell us how it all started. Let's start with Chef Prasad.
Hi. Well, where did it start? For me, I think when I was in final years of school and seeking out a college, my mom had sent off an application to hotel school. Now, the hospitality industry at that time was very new. So looking back, I'm amazed at my mom's foresight. My siblings and I were fortunate in the sense that we came from a very mixed culture in terms of our parents. My mom, Anglo-Indian, big lovers of seafood and meats, as you well know. And my dad, the polar opposite, a Tamil Brahmin, pure vegetarian. Wow. I think, so I was exposed to a very diverse cuisines from a very early age. Also the fact that we lived across the Indian subcontinent, including Nepal during my childhood, thanks to Dad's work. And each new place brought a fresh insight and a new look at culture and micro-cuisine. And I think those influences during my formative years certainly played a part. I was also very, I would say, hands-on at home as a kid, as my siblings were as well. So we had our duties and responsibilities. Mom was quite strict that we help around the house. And so being around the kitchen seemed very normal and natural to me. Moving to London, I was first absolutely fascinated by this long love affair the British had for Indian cuisine. And to have been one of the few chefs that took it to a more fine dining level and brought it its first Michelin stars. I think that recognition made such a huge difference in the way Indian cuisine was perceived globally. And I'd like to believe that in some ways that influenced Indian cuisine, the way chefs looked at Indian cuisine in India as well, resulting in the cuisine getting even more global recognition. So yeah, I would certainly say that that whole journey has been quite fascinating.
Yeah. And it's quite forward thinking of your mom at that time to actually, be putting both, I'm sure, brothers and sisters into the kitchen. I think that gave you a head start in some ways.
Perhaps, yes, but that was just her being her disciplinarian boys and girls were equal. You all did the chores at home, and on the weekends we enjoyed spending time with her in the kitchen. So that I think certainly helped. That in the sense that it felt natural and normal,
Yeah.
and probably planted those early seeds of a career in food.
Yeah.
Something that I may not have thought of myself.
Yeah.
Like I said, the industry was quite early and quite
Hmm.
nascent at that time.
Yeah.
And at least the school I was in, you either went into medicine or engineering because of the town Vellore being so famous
Yeah.
for its Christian Medical College, as
Yes.
well as the Vellore Engineering College. So that was the two real choices that students had. So definitely very, very forward thinking.
Yeah.
And she probably knew something about me that I didn't know myself.
You're lucky to have her. Chef Mural, tell us about your journey in food and coming up to where we are now.
I think my family was the one of the main reason. I always tell that my mother been one of my main motivator that I came in, because I've been always told that I've been the family of doctors. So when in Indian family, when you are in India, it's so much pressure that you are always have a pressure to become a doctor or something like that, and which I had
Engineer.
been I've been always had that, but I was not such a good student. One of the case, I think my now my brother is a radiologist, my sister is a occupational therapist, my mom is, of course, mom and father are doctors. So I the only thing what happened in my life, I think I was not such a studious, but I was interested in something else. And one of my uncle had told me that, why don't you try the hotel management entrance exam? And I give the exam and I got selected. And uh, exactly, if I look when I passed, I think I was supposed to become a room service manager. That was I was fascinated because you have a nice this thing attire tie, and you are get respected. That was my mentality that time.
Hmm.
So, but when I went in my training period, especially in Taj President in Cup Parade, Chef Ananda Solomon, Chef Johnson were there around. I saw them. I think two people are very inspirational for me. One is the two were the chefs from the Thai Pavilion restaurant in Cup Parade. Uh, they used to be lady chefs, and they always cook the food, and I was fascinated to see that lady chefs. And we as a trainee given to cook there was no coconut milk that time. We used to use that fresh coconut. They used to give the coconuts and make the coconut milk. So so that time, I after finishing out their work, the chefs used to ask us that, what do you want like to eat? And I used to like pineapple rice. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I inspired me. And after that, I never looked back. Actually, I never looked back. I thought this is because I saw the general manager of the restaurant, general manager of F&B manager, they used to come and wish them. So I thought this is a very, very respectable job, and it's something very interesting. So when I went back to the college, unfortunately the same year, second year, my mom expired due to the cancer. So I was become very serious about my professional, my whole family. And the turning point was that I stood second in the chef competition in Bangalore in my college. I think that's what inspired me to become a good chef. I become very, very serious about my professional. And after that, I never looked back. But the most thing good thing happened, that's arriving in Singapore in 2006. I really understand what is the cuisine is all about, and and Singapore is such a diversity of all cuisines. If you have visited, amazing food, street
Absolutely.
food, everything. So
Amazing.
somewhere I found it. I found the Indian cuisine has so much space here to develop. And I think that's the passion been there around and around. I never looked at that I should have become a Michelin chef. I never thought about it. But I think probably that is the quality like chefs has, that you love your food, you love your passion, and if you are really made for that, then you become a Michelin. That's what I will say.
Absolutely. I think that will give hope and inspiration to so many people. You're saying that just do your best and it's going to, it does, of course.
It's
So,
fascinating that without realizing it, Chef Murals and my backgrounds
Yeah.
in parents being in medicine, and then the whole journey, there's parallels. His move to Singapore, of course, and my move to London,
Yeah.
and how that shaped how Indian food is viewed by the world, and what little bit we could do as chefs to enhance that perception even further. Quite amazing that there are so many parallels.
Yeah, and also I think that you went into two great food cities in a way, that you went into places that were ready and you saw that there was the scope for it and you filled that gap. And in such a great way, I think that was really also a great parallel in in a different way, but you went to a place that was ready for you in some ways. So, all that passion had a place that would play out. So that's great too. So Chef Prasad, you are lauded for your original take on traditional Indian cuisine, yet you've always emphasized the importance of comfort and culture in the food itself. How did you come by this food philosophy, and what does it mean in when someone comes and eats something that you've put, what you've put on the plate? What does it mean for that?
I think certainly there were three things that had the biggest impact. Certainly, my childhood growing up in India, my journey as a chef, and the immense culinary shifts I had witnessed in London over the 2 decades. For example, when I first arrived in London, French gastronomy reigned supreme. Every other cuisine restaurant aspired to Frenchify their food, if I might use that word, to be more relevant and to be considered fine dining. And then, of course, molecular gastronomy took the world by storm. Then we had Japanese, which became the new French,
Yeah.
and that brought a different dimension altogether. We had this whole rise of the mid-market segment, which never really existed prior.
Yeah.
That emergence where cool new concepts emerged in quirky areas, in far-flung corners of London, making the whole landscape gastronomy more democratic in many ways.
Yeah.
So I think that certainly was one huge culinary shift. Another culinary shift was when hospitality opened its doors to other professions, in the sense you had ex-lawyers, ex-bankers, ex-doctors opening up restaurants and entering into hospitality. It was no more the sole entity belonging to hospitality trained professionals anymore. That caused I think a huge shift in the landscape for sure. It was definitely a disruptive
Yeah.
shift, and so these happened in various stages over the last 2 decades, and in many ways shaped the way I look at food. It helped me to almost zone in on what I value the most about food: heritage, health, and happiness. Now, I might put the most beautiful or incredible plate of food in front of you, but at the end of the day, it's all about happiness. It's all about creating customer wow, customer fulfillment,
Yeah.
which is a huge end goal, but not the only goal. I think there's also personal fulfillment that comes from using food as a force for good.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fascinating. I love your three H's: heritage, health, and happiness. I mean, it must be an ongoing thing, and you must be happy that you continue to do it. So, more
It's
power to
even
that.
even more relevant during these times, I think.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
as a chef, I think to look at food as medicine, to look at food for nourishment. There's nothing
And
truer than
healing.
saying we are what we eat, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think all that has brought food into more prominence. Chefs are looked at differently across the world today. Chefs are the new rock stars, apparently. And thanks to food programs on TV, it has inspired a new generation. You have 10-year-olds now rustling up brownies at the drop of a
Yeah.
hat, and so many inspiring food stories
Yes.
from kids as well, which has really it's really made it such a fashionable industry to be in. And it's been a lovely journey. And like I said, I think the times like this really makes you focus on the things that matter to you the most. And I'm glad to have zoned in on this 3H of heritage,
Yeah.
health, and happiness, and its relevance today is more so than ever before.
Yeah. No, and chefs being the new rock stars, as you're saying, is right, because I think through the lockdown and through this entire 8 months that we've gone through, chefs and food have been such a sort of comfort factor for people. I mean, we've
Yeah.
connected in so many ways, not just where it's been healthy in the true sense, but also just so that there was something for our mental well-being as well, in terms of
Which
getting
is
into
so
the
important.
kitchen.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
Chef Mural, you've been a great inspiration to many who have risen through the ranks. And in your time, you trained under renowned Indian chefs like Chef Sanjeev Kapoor and Chef Ananda Solomon. How much of your success do you actually attribute to the mentorship you received? And I mean, those two ladies you spoke of, even in the Thai Pavilion. And how important do you believe that mentorship is in the culinary field?
I think it's very, very important because I think if those two lady chefs not around, I think probably I'm not going to be as a chef. I
Yep.
think these are the scenarios in our life which happens, and those I called as a turning points, and those the way you turn around. But when I see the mentorship, I think it was. I see this how the chefs another Salman was very, very strong personality. He's so passionate about it what he used to does, and we got a very little time to talk to him, but the way his personality used to be there, it was amazing. And it was we can learn from his whatever the movement he used to do the briefing, and used to come and talk to the chef parties. So you understand that these he's so passionate. I think that is the how for me what motivate me, that passionate chef, his passion motivated me, and that is the how I take it, and that is the how my journey started. But yes, I'm always thankful to Chef Sanjeev Kapoor as my the inspiration behind me. And I still remember I was very young. Most of the people remember, who at a time who Indian chef been seen in a television, and cooking some a good food. And of course, it was a Khana Khazana chef when started, and that was the way the people know that there is something called a chef as a professional, because otherwise it was a bawarchi. Oh, you tum khana bana rahe ho, kis profession mein ja rahe ho. That is the way the people used to talk about it. But he has set and benchmark. He has set us an example, absolutely a big example, which so much motivated us. I think that is the how I was pretty lucky, because I was in Centaur Juhu, and chef was the executive chef there, and I was lucky to be there around as a management trainee under him. So again, I see him as such a, like, anytime we need to ask some questions or anything, he was always for us. And after that, he left, and he became more on a professional, and he had some private company. He started the whole company, but it was a very good. But right now also I can call anytime, and I can talk to him if I stuck around on a chef. What should be this? What is your view? I think that is what really help us. But at the same time, I see a lot of other chefs, especially the chefs from worldwide chefs. One is one very good, I highly respect, is Chef Alvin Wong. We saw 3 Michelin star in Hong Kong. If you see the way he thinks, the way he thinks about the food, the way he thinks. What I see during his conversation, I had a conversation with him, and he told, "You do your part, and you believe in yourself. What you doing it, and what you think you are doing it. There might be people might not agree with you, but I'm sure 80% will get agreed, and 20% might not get agreed, because it's very difficult to 20% to like satisfy them, but 80% are mostly are satisfied. So I think you believe yourself and you do your own what you want to make it, but make sure whatever do it passion and think like, you are not a chef, you are an artist. He always told me you are an artist, you are an engineer of the food, and you have to create in your own way with the end result. You are the one who are going to say, okay, this is my end result, is the best result. And of course, please take the consideration with all people, take views of others, each other. Helps you a lot. And one thing I want to add on, from my family and my father, uh, he doesn't know much about what is Michelin and everything. He's a simple doctor. So when we got the Michelin in 2016, I called him because I'm a Kannadi guy. So I called in Kannada, Daddy, that this is the what. He told me only very one, two sentence he told me, which always makes me inspiration and motivated. He told me, I don't know what is the exact meaning of Michelin and everything, but I'm pretty very happy, Manju, about what you got it. But please one thing I want to request you, and please always remember, be grounded. Don't be overconfident in your life, and just be grounded and be humble what you got it. I think that's what has inspired me, and that's why my father is also one mentor in a different way.
Yep.
He always inspires me. Chef Sanjeev is there, Chef Alvin is there, so many chefs around. And similarly, I like to mentor the young generation. That's one of my very I have started a program called as Chef Coach by Chef Mural, which does the it works only for the coaching for the young chefs, because they don't so many chefs are not able to talk to them. So I try to talk to them that half an hour, 45 minutes. I inspired them, and they're pretty happy to pretty 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 happy to talk to them, and they inspired. I think that's the how I feel one more is important. God doesn't give everybody Michelin, but yes, if we have got a Michelin, we are a good chef. I think it's very important that we have to share our expertise and our whatever the motivation we can give it to whole generation around, and that's what I'm doing it right now.
I think something you have in common with the chefs you spoke of, I think humility. I mean, both of you actually, you sort of personify humility in both. I mean, in both that you sort of don't think this is something that is, that you have absolutely deserved. I think you see that it is a play of circumstances and your passion, and also that you give forward, which is so important. So, Chef, I'm sure they are also very proud of you. Chef Mural, I'm sure
Yeah,
now.
sure. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yes.
Yeah. So of course we're talking about the Michelin star and what it entails, and I'm sure there's a lot of pressure that comes from helming a Michelin starred restaurant in terms of expectations. So does that actually is how difficult is it to deal with that? Does it affect your perspective? Do you make any compromises? Are there culinary dilemmas that you sort of face because of the Michelin star when you have it, or because you're aiming for it? So let's start with Chef Prasad.
Um, Pressure. To be honest, in terms of the Michelin inspectors, we do know that they visit restaurants between 6 to 10 times a year, and anonymously, most importantly. So I think we as chefs set very high standards for ourselves, for each plate, for each table, every sitting, every day of the year. And there is no other alternative to aim and achieve excellence than to persevere with every single plate. And the very fact that the visits are anonymous means that every single diner should be treated as such. And I think that approach really helped me. So that focus brought the team together and energized us into believing on ourselves, believing in hard work and perseverance and dedication to the craft. And I think that achieves consistency, which is absolutely key as far as Michelin inspectors are concerned. And that's why they visit that many times, so that they can share notes and ensure the product is consistent. Of course, the night before the guide is published, there are some subconscious butterflies in the stomach. But no, to be honest, I haven't made any decisions based on the Michelin star. My aim has been to produce authentic flavors, produce good, delicious food, and consistently well.
The mystery diner, that is another, yeah, that must be always there at the back of the head.
I
The
think
mystery.
for all chefs, and I'm sure Chef Mural will agree as well, it's all about achieving consistency. You can't pick and choose which plate should be perfect. Every one of them has to be, and that requires real dedication, real teamwork, real togetherness, lots of skill, but most than anything else, blood, sweat, and tears, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Chef Mural, your take on this?
I think absolutely agree with Chef Alfred. I know there is a pressure, but what I do in kitchen, the way I work in the kitchen is generally my tagline is very simple. All praises are yours. If any complaint come is mine. So that's how I work. So I keep my team very relaxed form, and I tell them you do your best, and the thing is it's no point of blaming them, because I'm sure nobody want to cook the food just to cook the food when you are in this kind of whole scenario and whole as a team. The things which works very really well, as when you are being a Michelin award, there's a pressure. There is, I think, we, as much as we should not give the pressure to the team. Yes, of course, I can take my pressure, but I should not put that pressure to the team, because sometimes they might underperform. So I don't want to be not at all agree on that on when I pressure. So what I do, it's not our Michelin, it's not my Michelin or restaurant, it's our Michelin, and you are part of it. And slowly what happens all these years, they are very concerned about the Michelin star, because they are also a star and people recognize them because, oh, you are in a Michelin star restaurant. So, and that makes a very whole energy, and the whole team makes so strong, and they don't want to do a single mistake. Actually, that is what I have seen in the team, and that makes my work also more easier, because I can see they are already following the steps what I follow. And uh, and uh, and when the year ends and you are already there, I know it's pressure before you get the announcement is always there, but once you get it, something is already relaxed, and the way we celebrate and the way they get motivational, they are already motivational for the next year. What I see, chef, we have done fantastic, we have to make it next year, chef, like that. So that gives so much
Yeah.
happiness when you see such a wonderful team when you have. And it's all about, not about a chef or a restaurant, it's all about whole team how it performs.
Yeah, it's really invigorating, I'm sure, no, when it's validated and you get it. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Raising Indian food to the level of food cuisine that would get you a sort of Michelin recognition. Are there questions that arise about being able to be authentic? Are there anxieties about how it will be received from an international audience? How do you strike a balance between adaptation and keeping it authentic, keeping it fresh and modern, while also, being influenced by Indian food, of course, because that is what you're showcasing? How do you sort of balance all that out? Chef Moral, would you like to
Yeah,
start?
yeah. I think, see, I think the intelligent chef is those chefs who adapt actor according to the country. That's most important. Where we as an Indian chef goes wrong, there is always a point which I generally suggest anybody want to talk to have a chat with me. Don't try to do the same traditional food what you do in India and just go and try to produce there. There might be hundred of restaurants they are doing it. If we go to Australia, New Zealand, they just do like curry house. It's and pretty. They feel that curry house is a Indian food. I think that's not the one. I think it's all about how you study the market, what is the taste palette, and any restaurant. You cannot be successful because of an Indian community. I'm talking about in the country, in Singapore, you cannot. 20% might be the Indian customers, but in the 80% are a mix of other races. So the any chef goes any country, I think you have to understand the demographic of the cuisine. How is it, and what is the taste palette here? Like in Singapore, people like it, a tasty food, but probably they don't like spicy food.
Yeah.
The Chinese are very cautious of salt. They are very, very so. Like in my restaurant, have two QT system. One is like example, if I do one dish, and I will one will be just pick up that food, and the other will be Indian flavor. So I try to make both customer happy, because Indian flavors is a different flavor and Indian will love that. So I twist that dish with those flavor food for them. So I'm able to accommodate all kind of different people. So I think this is very important. This point is very important. If any chefs goes from India to any other country, he has to understand the people, the taste of the food, what is the major people are like it, and you should transform that food taste wise, presentation wise, and using of the ingredients. Like most of the countries, probably like some countries don't have a good beef or a good lamb, but certainly they have something very else good, very
Yeah.
very fresh ingredients. So I think this is very very important to be a very good successful chef. When you go out of the country, we cannot work on the same mindset like how we work as an Indian cuisine. Because yes, and I can challenge any cuisine. The taste and the flavors and the spices, we know what we have in Indian cuisine. Nobody can challenge us. That's much.
Yeah.
I can see the amount of what we do, and see the heritage of India: north, south, east, west, central, and every I like 200, 300 kilometers, the food changes and taste
Yeah.
changes. So I think that is what we have to get it. But I'm also sometimes I'm very upset with one thing, which is I want to share that most of the restaurants, they only talk about North Indian food or a South Indian food, and that's not good sign for Indian cuisine. But if you go to a French restaurant, or if you go to a Japanese restaurant, nobody talks about a region. They just call as a Japanese cuisine, a French cuisine, or it could be an Italian cuisine, but they will never say about the region. But we have stuck our cuisine to the regional wise, which is not a good sign. If you see what is wrong in the Eastern Indian food, amazing food. If you go see the Western Indian food, amazing. I'm from Mumbai, and I love my food, Mumbai food. But how you give that to people will understand, and so that comes the as a chef. When you go to new places, we have to educate the people. Like, okay, this is not only the North Indian food. You have this thing also, and you have to create such dishes, make it a wow factor. It makes a
Yeah.
big difference, and people understand that this is a something very new.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And a very, very big point about how your audience is not only the Indian diaspora, and it's so important to actually keep that in mind when you're working on
Yes.
this. True. Yes. Chef Prasad, your take on this?
It's very interesting for me to have heard Chef Mural's take on it, particularly in relevance to Singapore. Of course, in terms of London, I think my take is slightly different, simply because London had been blessed with almost 50 or 60 years of this love affair that I talk about with Indian food. And so it was already a very popular cuisine across the UK. And certainly, I think you could say at a time they had more Indian restaurants in the country than pubs,
Yeah.
which is quite something. We all know that the Foreign Secretary Robin Cook had famously regarded chicken tikka masala as Britain's national dish, and that's quite something. So I think the fact that UK and and London in particular had this rich legacy meant that um, we didn't have to introduce Indian flavors. So my task as an Indian chef arriving in London in 2000, just before, was slightly different in the sense that I had to find ways to elevate the cuisine. It was already popular. The flavor profiles much loved. My challenge is to add value perception to the dish. We were based in Mayfair, the most expensive part of London, for 14 of my years in London as a chef, and we certainly had to elevate the cuisine. I always try and stay rooted to authenticity, and that has been my forte. I use colors and textures to alleviate the dish to multi-sensory levels, but for me, flavor profile is sacrosanct. And while many so-called curry houses in the UK adapt their food to the perceived local palate. For example, you can have a chicken korma medium, mild, or spicy in most curry houses in the UK. Doesn't make sense to me because a korma is a particular flavor profile, a particular heat, and it's that authenticity that I try to preserve. Of course, if someone likes to have more heat, I would be very glad to offer them a hot sauce or chopped green chilies or something of that sort on the side. But I never advocated modifying the existing flavor profile of the dish. Yes, my front of house team was trained to steer guests towards ordering particular things on the menu based on what they admitted as their heat tolerance. But again, having said that, in the last 2 decades in London, I have seen countless customers' tolerance for spice change dramatically over the years. It's that addictive nature of our ingredients in Indian cuisine that make them come back for more and make them tolerate increased level of heat. So then some curry houses went the other extreme and started producing Britain's hottest curry and advertising Britain's hottest curry or things like the sort, which yeah, is nice for a bit of fun, but I have always tried to stay very rooted to being authentic with the flavor profile and making sure that the menu has enough of a balance in terms of dishes. I also think that today's, thanks to social media and globalization and increased food travel, most people pick where they want to eat before they pick where they want to go to. And that has certainly, people are seeking out authentic flavors. They are seeking out the real deal. And I think the plus of staying true to authenticity means that you stay with what people are looking for. Today's global traveler or foodie traveler is zooming in, and contrary to maybe a slight disagreement with what Chef Mural said, only in the sense of regionality, I think it is actually, on the contrary, coming more to the fore today. People are seeking out regional cuisine, whether it is micro-regional Indian cuisines or whether it is people understanding the difference between Venetian cuisine and Napolitan cuisine and Tuscan cuisine and so on and so forth, Basque cuisine in Spain, and even in Japan, we talk about dishes from this particular village or a particular ingredient from a particular place. And I think that is even set to grow even more as we connect more to our produce, more to where we source our food from. And people understand regional specialties, micro cuisines will come even more to the fore, I think. And yes, but my attempts throughout have been to try and present Indian cuisine in a way that is authentic, and hopefully the people who like it will find it. And I think that is the big shift that I see growing even more in popularizing our cuisine. People understanding now the difference between Kerala cuisine and coastal Maharashtrian cuisine and Bengali cuisine, and zooming in even deeper into regions, say like in the Northeast, for example, and picking up subtle differences, rare ingredients. I think that's set to grow even more.
Yeah, I think you're both made the same point that you've got to know the place that you are in and work with that. I mean,
Without
I
doubt.
think yeah. So for Chef Mural, that was Singapore, where he's actually had to train people into it, and you walked into something that was already, quite mature in its own way. But both of you have worked so much to grow, the knowledge and the awareness of Indian food among the people that you are feeding. So I think, I mean, there were no contradictions for me. I mean, I know that it seemed that there were two very different points, but both of them actually speak about knowing what you're feeding to whom. And I think those were really important. And the reason why you guys have Michelin stars is really, it's a testament to your knowledge and your awareness and your consciousness of the market that you are in. So it works. So Chef Moral, you recently opened Adda in Singapore. Tell us a little about that and
Uh,
what you are putting out in this restaurant. What is your mission with it?
it's not yet. I'm working on it, and we are going
Oh,
to
I thought it was open
yeah,
already.
shortly opening. And the thing is about what I doing here is elevated street food of India. That's the theme. And why I'm doing Adda, the reason is about because what I find now in Singapore also, the fine dining has taken bit of a back step because of this pandemic. So people are very very this thing to go in a fine dining than rather in a casual dining, and that's why this casual something is more than a casual dining what we are creating. And it's not only about the fine dining, what we call as fun dining. So it's more of colorful, vibrant, people easy service, which because here also in Singapore we want like easy Indian food service, very interactive. That's what we are looking for. And what people liked about this, because in this it's very difficult that good restaurants are closing down in this situation. But me and my partners have taken such a gutsy step to open a restaurant. So that's something we have given a positive vibes in Singapore, and it's so highly regarded by the media because somebody has taken the stand.
Yeah.
So that's what we have done, and we have get a very good positive response from whole community, different kind of community, different peoples. So it's creating Adda means a place where people come and hang out, eat food, and and
Chill. Yeah.
more relaxed form. That's what we are creating. And uh, price cautious. After I see after the pandemic, the price cautious become a very big effective. So we want to give a good price, affordability, and let them enjoy. And I'm sure everybody is sure, my within myself, I also want to enjoy in another 8 9 months. Once everything is okay, definitely I want to go somewhere and enjoy myself. And
Yeah.
that is the what the local people should come and enjoy themselves. And we got a good news today that in Singapore that we are going to open our phase 3 from 28th. The process is going to start from 28th of December. So it's a very
Nice.
good sign. It's a good sign. So probably this is a conversation is also good lucky for me today. So I got to just saw the news. So it's pretty good. And I think that's called Adda. And I want to create a good place, eat food, enjoy, and happiness, and good quality food. That's what in my mind. And people should enjoy. And one thing I always believe is food has to be tasty.
Yeah. Yeah. So 2021 is going to be about fun dining. So all power to you.
Yeah, yes, I
Uh, yeah. Chef Prasad, you use the best local and seasonal produce, and you strongly promote the use of local ingredients and advocate against food waste. Could you tell us a little more about this and your I believe provenance is very important for you. So
Yes.
what are your thoughts on this?
Um, I think I need to thank my dad for instilling in me values that have steered me in this direction. He was a keen gardener with magical green fingers, and I remember even as a kid, any fruit that we ate at home, he would make sure he kept the seeds
Oh,
and he chucked them into a corner of the garden or even next door sometimes. He taught us about root to seed and about his whole philosophy about not wasting food um, was really had a very deep impact on me. So provenance, I think, for all chefs is is something we believe very strongly in because we are so deeply entwined in the food cycle. Knowing where our food comes from, how it's grown, how it's processed, how it's packed, how it's transported, how it's delivered to you, all that is increasingly of importance today. Um, so it made it all the more relevant, I think, for me as a chef to pay more attention to organizations that work in these spaces, organizations like Fair Trade that ensure farmers are justly rewarded for their hard work and toil and fair wages and ensuring the quality of the food that is produced in many ways. Um, I also support a lot of charities in the food for good space, dealing with food waste and things of that nature. I think it's an absolute travesty of our times that in almost every city we can name, food waste and food poverty coexist.
yeah.
That's probably one of mankind's biggest shames, to be honest. And as a chef, I feel very deeply passionate about that cause. I think in terms of, as I mentioned it earlier, that food is medicine, and that's particularly in our Indian culinary heritage. We have been handed down this knowledge of food as medicine, and I think that is something that we should not only protect and preserve, but ensure that we pass it on to the next generation. Um, I think we say buzzwords like local and seasonal, and you mentioned that in your question as well. They seem like buzzwords today. They seem on trend today, but the fact is that it's so deeply entwined in Ayurveda or our ancient Indian food heritage, created almost a few thousand years ago, and still relevant today. I think that is something that we should really cherish and
Yep.
ensure that we can pass that knowledge on.
Yeah, I think those are buzzwords only in cities for us in India, because that is the way that our grandparents and our parents who, came into cities, that there was no question that it was something that they even thought about. It was what it was. And in some ways, the lockdown has encouraged us to eat that way because food could not come from very far. It had to come from, close by. And in some ways, we have all willy-nilly gone back to looking at what is in season and eating it. And it's a great thing because, I mean, we've actually gone back to the way our forefathers ate. So it's a good way forward for us, and we should continue to do that.
True.
Yeah. So we're going towards the end of this session. So I want to know from you, are there Indian chefs out there that you have your eye on? Why? Chef Prasad, you've spoken up for more women in the profession. And I'm sure that is something that even Chef Mural would want, because his one of his big impressions, his first impressions were the two lady chefs at Thai Pavilion. Are there some things that we need to guard against in this whole new order of things? What do you think is the future of Indian food cuisine? Chef Mural, would you like to start?
I think the Indian food future is a thing. It's amazing. It's going to be one of the best in future, as we have made Indians, we have made name in food tech and everything. So I think food is going to be one of the part of also in few years of time. We can see the young chefs are coming up, and the most important is that the young chef needs some push from senior chefs. That's what I can see. And I got a couple of chefs here. I'm pretty happy to say that in Singapore I have trained two Singaporean chefs, and they are like, I was so happy with their performance. I took to one of my event in Greece. I give the exposure for 10 days to be a part of Sani Gourmet Festival in Greece. And the other guy, the chef, I took him to the Michelin Macau Street Food Festival for another 7 days. So wherever I get as a chef, wherever I get the chance to groom the boys and take them to the places. And I'm pretty happy to see that one of the chef or two of them is now a executive sous chef, and the other guy is a sous chef. And you won't believe they are not an Indian chef, but they are in a Italian chef, and his another one is is in a Mediterranean cuisine. But they are so inspired with Indian cuisine, they are using the flavors of Indians in their own cuisine. So that is the way I see the young chefs. If you are able to groom them, and wherever you get the chance, so that is going to be a good thing for Indian cuisine. And as I say, in Southeast Asia, it's pretty challenging because educating the good Indian food this is the way I see it. And it's day by day. I'm getting better people. People really knows about. When I go to different regions in Southeast Asia, they know it, that Indian food is not about normal. I think this is a basically process. As a chef, we need to continue this. I think we are blessed. God has made us to be like an ambassador of Indian cuisine. All our chefs, Chef Alfred, our chef, so many other Michelin chefs, Indian chefs, because we are blessed and we are lucky to do that, and we should give this to the community of Indian young chefs. And also, just recently I had a very good, if you heard about Chitkara University, they called me, and I was able to talk to 260 students. So that is something. And I had a cooking show for them and cooked two dishes. I show how can be a simple chart can be a different, and how can be a curry can be a different. So so I was able to interact with those 260 students. It was so inspirational. I got so many messages. They asked me so many questions. I think I tried to take out some time. And here, what in Singapore I have done, the best thing what I have done, the day, like in last 10 years, I've been also a people association trainer. Basically, it's a community clubs in Singapore. And I'm a professional trainer for the PI association, and it's a basically community work. So I go and teach Indian food, not a normal curry stuff or anything. It is more on like how is the Indian food, like you can do on you. And I don't believe my whole students are Chinese, so that's very good for me. So that's how what I do in Singapore, and of course I'll continue doing this. And we have a lot of students. Even I groomed one chef called Abhay Pardesi, who used to be part of one of my restaurant called Gunpowder in Jakarta. Unfortunately, closed down because of COVID. But I have groomed him for 1 year, and he's a much more a better product as a chef. And he's going to join me very soon in Singapore also. So I think it's a process, and we need to keep on doing that.
I think the future sounds very amazing from where you are, and all power to you. Chef Prasad, your thoughts on the way forward and
Um, Firstly, obviously, I was extremely proud to know that the first Indian woman chef had won a Michelin star. I'm sure there'll be many more to follow. And I've always been a big advocate for more women in the food industry. I think they have qualities, multitasking abilities far superior to us men, and actually would make ideal chefs in a busy professional kitchen. Um, I'm an honorary member of an organization called Women in Gastronomy, which is a global organization of women chefs. And throughout in interviews or whenever I address people, I try and address the fact that we just need to adapt the industry a little bit to make it a level playing field for women. Um, they certainly have a lot more to balance in terms of work, home, family, kids, and the long, grueling working hours and on your feet does not suit that. I keep thinking that the industry should probably look at flexible working hours or maybe shorter working weeks to ensure that we can get more women in our industry, and it would truly enhance the industry and make the world a better place with more women chefs around. And that's something I believe very, very strongly in. So yes, more power to women chefs. Your second part of the question was about things to guard against for Indian cuisine. I think what comes right on top of my mind is this whole, we touched on it earlier, but this whole knowledge of food as medicine, particularly in context of Indian cuisine, which is so deeply rooted in our food culture, is at a risk of being lost, has been lost already. And of course, a lot of work is being done in the country by various experts in the field to try and revive some of that knowledge. So that, I think, is something that we as chefs are custodians of. I know Chef Mural mentioned we are ambassadors of Indian cuisine, and we are proud to be so, but I think we also have to be guardians of its heritage, including food as medicine, and that knowledge. And like we said, preserve it, but also make sure we pass it on to the next generation. In terms of the future of Indian cuisine, I'd like to think that Indian cuisine's strongest point has been its flavor profile, and play with spices and blends and bringing together this whole multitude of flavors which do result in a very multi-sensory experience, addictive experience. So that has been Indian cuisine's strongest suit. I would like to see the future of Indian cuisine being more prescriptive and medicinal while also being delicious.
Yeah.
And I think there will come a time when all food will probably be very prescriptive, almost defined to body type and season and all that Ayurvedic knowledge that we've ignored for such a long time. I'm sure in the future that would come to the fore, and that food as medicine element will probably be our cuisine's biggest USP.
Wow. It's very cool. Very different perspectives. Wonderful insights. Thank you. We're now going to go into our rapid fire, and I'm going to ask you a question, one after the other, in different orders each time. If not a Michelin star, what would you count as the greatest validation of your craft? Chef Prasad?
I think it would be being listed among Chef Gordon Ramsay's dream team, among a few other chefs. It's always wonderful, I think, to get recognition from a well-respected industry peer.
Yeah. And Chef Mural?
I think I will be if Song of India, it's not a Michelin, but still as a chef of Song of India, I should be able to reach to the people, I think. And people remember me. They come to the restaurant. This Chef Mural is a part of that, and what I've been done for all these years.
Yeah. Okay. What is your desert island dish? If you were in a desert island, what is the one dish you would want to eat, Chef Mural? Make and eat.
For me, dessert, I think my childhood favorite is Mewad ice cream. I love it. And I've always tried to make it a new version of that because from young age I've been trying on that telas in the stall with my mother. I think amazing thing. I think that's one of my favorite.
Okay, yours, Chef Prasad?
I think my desert island dish would be the Arcot mutton biryani.
Ooh,
And
okay.
like Chef Mural said, it's this nostalgic food memories, that early imprint of food memories that probably are the strongest.
Yep. Okay. Which of your dishes would you give contestants of a cooking show to recreate? Chef Prasad now.
Um, it would probably be my mushroom starter at Omya. It's a dish that has complexity, requiring skill and precision. It has a lot of things that can go wrong.
Hmm.
So yeah, that would be a good one.
It would be a challenge. Yeah. Chef Moral, which would you give to contestants
Uh,
of?
I think I will give the pan-seared lemon chili lobster with a moili sauce.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that would be one.
I think all this makes us all very hungry. Even though you're around food, I'm sure talking about it also is, very sort of interesting. I'm just going to go off and ask you a question. Chef Moral, if you had to have Chef Prasad eat one of your dishes, you have to choose one dish that you would like to serve him and tell us why you think that is perfect for him.
I think I would suggest. I would my favorite dish. What I would like to offer chef would be the lamb shank. What I cook it, and pretty. It is a because the way we as a chef, it is not too much flavor. It is a lot of things been like it is a slow cooking process, and it refining the sauces, which we are very familiar. Chef Alfred and me are very familiar with that. I think I would offer that dish. Yeah, it's a
Wow,
yeah.
has my vote already.
Okay, and Chef Prasad, what would you like to serve Chef Moral?
I hope he likes seafood because I would love him to try my pan grilled scallops. I do it with a mixed peppercorn sprinkling with a roasted red pepper chutney and curry leaf oil dressing.
Yeah, one of my friend has tried that. I know about this.
Oh,
Wow, I think it's marvelous. You guys have to catch up offline at some point after
and meet
this
in
whole thing
person sometime.
Yeah.
and feed each other. I think it's going to be amazing. We've come to the end of this discussion. I want to thank you both, Chef Prasad, Chef Moral. Both of you are so inspirational and yet so humble. Thank you so much for your insights and all the learnings that you've shared. I know this is a really busy time for both of you, so I'm even more grateful that you were able to join us. All the very best in your journeys forward. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Primrose, for having us at the Indulge Fest 2020. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you, Pramara. Same to here. Thank you. Bye.